Well, hello, my friends. It's Bob Baker here coming to you live. For me, it's a Saturday morning, so happy Saturday to you, assuming that I've got some kind of creaking going on here. Not sure if you can pick that up or not, but not sure if it's Saturday where you are, whether you're watching the live stream or you're watching the replay. I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. And today I'm actually going to be using this live stream to talk about passion, creativity, and self-expression. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. I was looking at the background photos there. So yeah, those are some of my paintings on the wall behind me, and I just realized from this view they look like they're crooked. I think in the room they're actually. I guess I got to work on that next time. So if you feel a little imbalance, I'll take the blame for that. And so I see some people are already starting to do this, but what I would love for you to do, whether you're watching live, especially if you're watching live, but even if you're watching the replay, just leave a comment real quick. Say, hi, Bob. Let me know where you're watching from, too. I always love to get a handle on this global audience that YouTube allows us to be able to reach. And so just stop in there. So all that's actually, is it Jalen? I may be pronouncing that right. But says, you're the best, Bob. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sarah Floyd from Chicago is watching. So yes, just take a moment right now. I just want to get a kind of a handle on who's in the room and say hi to a few folks. I love doing these live videos because it allows me to interact in real time with some of my many followers here, and so this is really awesome. And so hopefully, as I'm waiting for some of those to populate there, you'll enjoy. I like to keep these live things. They're pretty organic, you know. I kind of go with the flow, but I would like to kind of focus on. Creativity, passion, and self-expression. And actually, we're going to be doing some random readings from my book, The Passion Principles. Hopefully you're seeing that. Are you seeing that with the, yeah, I think you are. Does it read correctly? It's not backwards, is it? Let me know if the words actually appear correctly, because what I'm seeing on the screen here is a mirrored image. But I think you're seeing it the correct way. I just want to say hi to some folks here. Oh, Brittany's is watching from California. Tanya from New York. Is it Stay Hall? Watching from Fort Worth, Texas. Thanks for all your inspiration and motivation. You are welcome. I appreciate that. Boy, I'm not sure how to pronounce that first name. Chioma, maybe from Dallas. Excuse me. Velda from New York. We got Emmer D from Germany. All right, awesome. Southern California is being represented by Mary Tunda from Florida. We got a Tanya Smith from Mississippi. Is it Inez from Portugal? Christy from Washington, D.C. Thank you, Christy. I'm glad you enjoy my videos. Sebastian, keep doing what you're doing, Bob. It helps. Wait, what? You have a book? I need to get that. So Sebastian, yeah, a lot for some of you who just maybe know me from my affirmation videos, you may not know that I have a long history in the arts and as an author. And so actually my first book came out in 1993, and I published 15 physical books over the years, and then additional titles that are in ebook and audiobook and online course form. Most of my stuff is actually geared for artists or creative people, I should say. In the beginning, it was primarily musicians. I have a long history of writing and teaching about music marketing, helping independent artists promote themselves. Or just demystify marketing so that creative people can embrace it. And then I have a lot of books because I do a lot of things in the arts just for creative people in general. And the Passion Principles is one of those books that's for a more general audience. But yes, I have many books out, and I'll be focusing on this one. But thanks for your interest in that. Let's see here. Mama Love from New Mexico. Love that name. Light Mission. Oh, it's Esther from Iowa. but from Rwanda. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Thank you for all that you do. I listen to your affirmations every morning. I love that. They have helped me heal and create a life I desire. Thank you so much for sharing that. I so appreciate that. And then Adrian says, thank you for your inspiring videos. You are welcome. And so, yes, indeed, I'm glad that you're all here. I'm going to just do something real quick. I got a little bit of a, it's live, I can't edit this stuff out. So speaking of live and sort of living, just kind of doing things organically and on the fly, is it Ranjit from India and Vandal Lex with 3 green hearts. Great to have you here. And so yes, I did a live, a Saturday morning live stream on YouTube some weeks ago, and I had some issues with my my microphone. I was on for a total of 30 minutes, and I didn't realize until the end that my mic had just dropped out like halfway through it. So the second half, I apologize for any of you that were on that, because you just saw my lips moving with no sound. I didn't even realize it till 15 minutes had expired. So I'm using a new microphone. I'm going to keep an eye on my readings here. This should work. So, but here's what I'd like to do. So this book called The Passion Principles is actually a book that it was specifically, obviously, for creative people, but for people who were like time starved and maybe didn't have a lot of time to read. The subtitle is 101 Ways to Express Your Creativity and Share with the World. And so it covers a full range of issues for creative people specifically. Even if you don't consider yourself an artist or a musician or whatever, you're creative. You can probably apply this if you have any kind of ambitions to create something in the world, that these things would still apply to you. I just want to mention for anyone coming in, yeah, please leave a comment. Just say hi. I'll acknowledge you live here. And then let me know where you're watching from, because I just love to, oh, cool. Candace, I made another live finally. Oh, cool. Awesome. I'm glad that you can join us here. From Mississippi. I think there's a couple of people from Mississippi here. Fabulous. And by the way, those of you who may or may not know, I'm in Missouri, in St. Louis, Missouri, in the Midwest, along the Mississippi River. The author. So the author is me. Actually, this is one of my many books. And let me know, are you seeing the proper? This isn't backwards. You're able to read the text of that, correct? Just kind of let me know. Yes, it appears correctly, as opposed to the mirrored image that I'm seeing here. Savitha says, hi, Bob. I just saw a notification. Yay. Okay, Lex, I've been watching your morning affirmations for a year or so from South Jersey. I think Velda's saying yes, I'm assuming for the book here. This is one of my many books. But it's unlike a lot of my other books, each of these ways literally fits on one page. So even though I structured this book in an order that makes sense to me, it starts off with like the psychological things that creatives deal with, and then the creative process, and then it gets more and more into. It's not like a career manual or anything. It gets more into how to create awareness and attract fans as it goes further on into the book. It looks fine. All right. Nope. Yep. I see it. Nice. I need to purchase. Well, cool. Well, I'll have, all of my books are available on Amazon in at least a dozen countries. And some of them, like a number of them are in paperback, and others are in ebook, and some are even in audiobook format. And so if you like hearing my voice, which many of you do through my affirmations, in fact, this one is available as a audiobook, an ebook, and a physical paperback. So you have some options there. Derek is watching from Concord, North Carolina, near Charlotte. Awesome. Fabulous. So here's what I'm going to do. This is kind of a fun thing. I'm going to actually ask you to just pick a random number. So I'm going to start with the beginning of the book. So pick a number between 1 and 25 to start with. I want to start near the beginning of the book, and whoever pops a number in there between 1 and 25, I will start with that one. And Ernestine Rivera says, hi. It's great to have you here. I appreciate you all being here. Mhm. Cool, cool. So I got a bunch of numbers coming in here. Candace was the first one with number 3. That's really early on. So let me read that one, um, and then we'll just kind of riff on this. We'll have some fun with this as long as we're having fun with it. I'll keep going, and I'll pop around maybe in some of the other numbers here. So thank you all for doing that. And again, if you're just tuning in, leave a comment and let me know who you are and where you're watching from. So number 3 from the Passion Principles. You ready for this? It says, cultivate a sense of play. Take your creativity seriously, but do so with a sense of ease. Many artists, writers, musicians, and performers, especially early in their development, work themselves into a paralyzing frenzy when creating. For instance, do you ever stare at a blank canvas, page, or stage and feel frozen? Put too much pressure on yourself to create. Feel defeated before you even start. Relax. Creative expression should be fun, not stressful. Allow yourself the freedom to experiment without judgment. The fate of the world isn't resting on your ability to craft the perfect sentence, lyric, melody, or punchline. Life will go on if your first draft doesn't win a Pulitzer, Grammy, or a Tony Award. So have fun, be light, cultivate a sense of play. I would love to know what you think of that. So pop a comment in there. Yeah, I wish YouTube Live would allow me to hear you and see you and all that good stuff. I also use a service called Zoom, which you're probably familiar with, that does do that. But at least I can see your text here, and as long as you're hearing me. And so, do you, whether or not, again, especially if you're in the arts, you can relate to this, but do you ever put too much pressure on yourself to have to create? Or when you're pursuing goals, do you feel this weight of the world that's got to be perfect before you can even take your first step? That's something that I encourage you to get over. And so, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of my books are on music marketing. And a lot of musicians and creative people in general, when it comes to marketing and promotion and sales, they get all tensed up and they think they have to put on a different hat. You've heard this thing about, oh, you got to wear many different hats, and there's the artist hat, and then there's the business hat. And so a lot of people think I got to put on my business marketing hat, and they take it so seriously, and it weighs them down, and they end up just cursing that they have to market themselves, when I just encourage people to just get a sense of lightness about it. It's not a life or death thing how well you promote yourself. Can you just like have some fun with it and actually bring as much creativity into your marketing? And that's if you're at the stage with your creativity that you're ready to share it with the world. If you're early on, you don't have to do that. You can just do it for self-satisfaction. But at some point, I like to encourage people to share their art and their creativity and their gifts with the world, which you probably heard me mention on a lot of my affirmations. So when there literally isn't a matter of life or death, there's not a whole lot at stake. Just lighten up on yourself and have some fun with it. So feel free to comment on that. I'm going to just acknowledge some of the comments here. Adam is watching from Prince Edward Island. Ernestine, Missouri City, Texas. Positive. I'm probably butchering that, but she's watching from New York. Candace says she does all of that. I love to listen to your helpful words. I'm writing a book. Okay, so Candace says she's writing a book, so you really needed to hear that. Yeah. I was actually reading. Is this your first book, Candace? Just let me know, because it may be. So Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, she has a book out that came out a couple of years ago called Big Magic, and she talks about the creative process. She has some great TED Talks on creativity too. And she also talks about not putting too much pressure on yourself. Like when you're writing a book, if you think there's like the creation process and there's the marketing process. But when you're creating it, don't get too heavily bogged down about what the reader is going to, like you're writing it for the reader, that's got to be mind blowing or whatever. Just get into the flow of expressing what you want to express, as you're creating it. Later, you can come back and edit and finesse and think about, oh, how is this going to be impactful for the reader? And certainly when you go to promote the book or spread the word about it, it's all about what's in it for the other person. But in the creation process, just focus on your own flow and what you're wanting to express. And so yeah, just don't put too much pressure on yourself. Have a sense of levity. Lex says, right, be your honest self, because people will gravitate to you regardless if they are meant to. Good point. Oh, wow. Sebastian already ordered the book on Amazon. I work as a visual effects artist, so very excited for a book. You are aiming at creatives. Thanks so much. Oh, yeah. So most of even though you may know me from so Affirmations is actually something that's only become part of my mission or whatever in the last 2 or 3 years. So for 20 odd years prior to that, I was an author. I still am. I'm an author and a teacher, and I've been inspiring creative people. In fact, if you go through the archives or go into the playlist tab on my channel here, you'll find stuff on music marketing, and I have a podcast called The Creative Entrepreneur, and there's just tons of stuff because I've been on YouTube since 2006. And so there's a lot of archival stuff. About a year ago, I stopped using this channel to publish that type of material because I think it was confusing people. I was getting so much traffic for the affirmations and the guided meditations. I decided to focus this channel on that topic. I think it was a smart move. But there's a whole body of work that I've done over the years for creatives. And so I'm glad that you discovered that. Take it easy, Lex says. We all need to do that. Sarah says she needed to hear that. Creative videos. I'm so thankful and grateful for your videos. I love it. God bless you. Well, thank you so much. June Taylor watching from, is it Guyana, I think is how you pronounce that. Candace says, yes, it's her first book about my life and breaking cycles and families. I didn't write a children's book. School is called Three Little Kittens. Awesome. And Liz, the LinkedIn boss, says, love your affirmations. It's life-changing. That's fabulous. Well, thank you all. So let me go look for another number here. So that was 3. Maybe I'll take one of the, let's jump to 12. Velda actually popped in 12 there. That seems like a nice even dozen. Let's see what that is. And I don't remember what these numbers are, so I'm definitely just trusting. Another thing I do in the performing arts is I do improv comedy. I teach it. I have a weekly class here in St. Louis. So if you're ever passing through St. Louis or you know someone who is, and they're like an actor, or they want to just have some fun with improv, which is improvisational theater, like Whose Line Is It Anyway? If you've ever seen that show, I do a weekly drop-in class on Thursdays here in town. So here's number 12. This again is from the Passion Principles. Subtitle is 101 Ways to Express Your Creativity and Share It with the World. It's available on Amazon in about 12 countries and multiple formats. So number 12 is Embrace the Gap. This is another good one. So Ira Glass, who is the host of the public radio show This American Life, once talked about the frustration that creative people feel in the early years of pursuing a craft. They are inspired to do art because they have a sense of taste. But at first, their technical skills don't allow them to create at the high level that they envision. He referred to this disparity as the gap. And so every creative person experiences this gap. But many people give up during this difficult stage. The solution, according to Ira Glass, is do a huge volume of work. Put yourself on a deadline, because it's only by going through a volume of work that you are going to catch up and close that gap. Can anyone relate to this at all? And again, this is particularly, as it was mentioned there, early in your career, or when you're maybe shifting gears and trying a new genre or a medium. But we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be great right off the bat. And you have artists and people that have inspired you. They're role models. And so you sort of, they're your example of what success looks like. And when your initial efforts to create don't match up to that level, you feel like a failure. Oh, who am I? Geez, what am I? Why am I even bothering doing this? I'll never be that good. And that's the wrong way to look at it, because those people that you admire that inspired you, they were not that good right out of the gate. They had to learn. They probably put in years. You probably heard of this 10,000 hour rule, perhaps, where to become excellent at something quite often takes 10 years and 10,000 hours of effort. Now, if creativity is just a part-time hobby, you don't have to aspire to that. But just know that that voice inside of you that's saying, "Oh, this is not good enough. Oh, I don't match up." Just know the only way to do that. So there's a gap. Here's where you want to be, and here's where you are, or where you feel you are, even though quite often you're probably too critical of the stuff that you're creating now. So there's a gap there. The best way to close it. So there's two ways that you can relieve that pressure of that gap. One is to give up, to complain, become a victim, or just give up. The other way is to go to work and just create on a regular basis and slowly hone your skills while having fun and just focusing on the creative process. What's really inspiring you here? Maybe even early on, forget about what other people think, or what if you're going to sell it or whatever, and just do it for the joy. Start to share it with people. But the more you do it, the more you close that gap, the more you go, oh, that's not so bad. I remember when I started painting, when I was like in middle school, and early on, I did like a lot of landscapes and still lifes and abstracts. And my early attempts at doing people were just horrific. I mean, I got this thing in I cannot do faces. And then so I didn't do any people or faces for forever. And then at one point, I don't know, 15 years ago or something, and I do acrylic painting. Those are my paintings. So a couple of them in the background there. I thought, I'm going to give this another shot. And I did a face, and it was like, oh, that's not so bad. And so now I actually specialize in celebrity portraits. I don't have a whole lot but there's Amy Winehouse there. So I did that picture of her. So I sort of overcame this idea that I had of myself that I'm no good at doing humans or faces or eyes. And I just by working on it and forcing myself to do it, because I thought it would be fun to do, especially when I got into doing celebrities and iconic people from history and entertainment. Then I had fun with it. I started selling some of them. So you close the gap by just going to work. Let's see here. Tanya, wow, then you came into my life. Oh, this is so funny. Tanya says, oh, you came into my life in divine time. I love that. Funny how that works out. Derek says, your morning songs get me going every day. Great way to start the day with inspiration and creativity. So I think what Derek is talking about there is that most of you know my morning affirmations, which are spoken word. And actually, I do create that electronic music, that kind of synthesized background music. I created myself. I'm also a musician, a singer, a songwriter. I've done a lot of things in the arts over the years, and I have created there's some instrumental music, and there's also a lot of regular songs that I've created over the years. But I have some videos where I use kind of this funky, upbeat music that I add some affirmations to. There's only a handful of them, so unless you happen to have discovered them, but they're kind of fun. I like to do that every now and then. So thanks for pointing that out. Brittany says page 17. I'm going to come back to that. Anna says your morning affirmations get me going every morning. Fabulous. Maxine says, hi, Bob. Thanks for all your affirmations on YouTube. Life-changing from the UK. I love it. And I want you to know you're doing. Oh, Candace. Yeah. That's very sweet. You're a special soul too. So fabulous. So you're enjoying this? So again, if you're just tuning in and you haven't left a comment yet, just say, hi, Bob. Let me know where you're watching from, and then chime in on any of these things that I'm talking about. So there's already a couple of themes here, even from these random numbers that we're picking out of the book. And that is lighten up, take the pressure on yourself, off of yourself, just have fun with your creativity. And if you want to get better at it, you just got to spend time doing it. And don't, Maritza, perhaps. from Omaha, Nebraska. Thank you for those kind words. I appreciate that. And it's, boy, I don't know how to pronounce that. Abhishek from India. And Maxine's from London. That's cool. So I'll go ahead and do, I think somebody might have mentioned 17 earlier. Let me pull this up. Let's see what this one is. Let me see how we do on time too. Okay, yeah. I was just going to do like a half hour or so. So maybe I'll read one or two more of these and then pop. If you have any questions about creativity or about my books or music or any of the stuff, leave a comment there. I also want to mention this too. There's a new feature on my channel in addition to the subscribe button, which I think hopefully most of you are already subscribed to my channel. That's totally free. And that means hopefully YouTube will notify you when I have new videos pop up. And if you hit the little notification bell, that increases the odds that they will let you know when I post new videos. But there's also like a join button there too, where it's kind of a fan funding type of thing, where you have the option. Click that, you'll watch a short video, and you'll see like 3 different options to join my channel. And for just a few bucks a month, you get some extra perks. And so I just launched that some weeks ago. So if that interests you, if you wanna just say thanks and support the work that I do, you can click the join button. Let me know if it should show up on my page or near my videos. I think it shows up on some devices more so than others, but I just wanted to let you know that's another option there for you if you just want to say thanks. All right. So, and actually, yeah, I haven't seen them yet today, but people who are members, I call it the Personal Empowerment Club. When you join my channel at that, it's different than subscribe, but I create extra content and there's extra perks for people who are members of that. And they have a special icon that shows up next to their name and live chats and comments and all that. I don't think I've seen any of them so far this morning. Anyway, back to the book. 17, Capture Your Ideas is the topic of this one. Sometimes inspiration is slow in coming. Other times it flows nonstop. No matter how quickly your newest ideas come, have a way to capture them so they don't get lost in the ether. How many times have you had a flash of insight and told yourself you would remember it? Of course, a few hours later, you find yourself cursing because you've forgotten what it was. Take steps now to remedy that situation. Carry a notebook with you at all times, or use your phone, like the Note app or whatever on your phone, as a recording device. When inspiration strikes, capture every idea. You can evaluate them later and use the best ones when the time is right. And so, yeah, those fleeting glimpses of inspiration, not that you have to wait for inspiration to strike to be able to create, but capture your ideas, whether it's a phrase, a word. Maybe if you're working on a book, there's like an example or a case study or something that you want to add to your book. And so while it's fresh, capture it. So ideas or text, there's note apps on your phone. You can carry a physical notebook. I know as a musician and a songwriter, when I hear a melody or a phrase and it's new to me, I learned long ago, I'm probably not going to remember exactly how it goes until I've heard it or repeated it several times. So I have learned to get out the voice memo on my phone and record it. Like sometimes I'm driving around and I'll start singing something or a phrase will come to me. I go, oh man, I got to capture that. And, safely at a stop sign or something, I'll get that out and capture it so that I can listen to it later, remind myself of how that went. So capture your ideas. Yes. PP says, hi, Bob. Thank you for all you do. You're so inspiring. Congrats on the new book. So actually, this book came out a couple of years ago. This is my 15th book and my most recent one, but it came out a couple of years ago. Yeah, in case you missed it earlier. I've published 15 physical paperbacks starting in 1993. And then another couple of dozen titles that are only available in ebook format, audiobooks, online courses. And so, I've been at this kind of educational author, teacher thing for a long time. And so you may just be hearing about it for the first time through this, because you know me as for the affirmations, which is a big part of what I do these days. But yeah, I got a lot of years of doing the book thing. So I have other titles too. Yeah, the Empowered Artist, Unleash the Artist Within. A lot of books for music marketing, for musicians specifically, like the Guerrilla Music Marketing Handbook. In fact, that's the Guerrilla Music Marketing Handbook right there, if I can point to it. The 9 Irrefutable Laws of Music Marketing, the 5-Minute Music Marketer. These are all books that I've published over the years. But this one is for creative people of all types. PP says, I too am writing my first book. Any advice for dealing with a topic based on overcoming serious personal obstacles? Any advice for dealing with a topic based on overcoming serious personal obstacles? Well, yeah. So your book sounds like it might be part memoir. I guess you have to decide like the scope of the book. Is it a memoir where it's just telling your story? Is it more of a how-to book where you're maybe using your personal story to know where people are coming from, and then you give advice? So sometimes a memoir doesn't give advice like a how-to or a self-help book, but you can meld the two somehow. So just be honest. Yeah. And I know it gets tricky when you are sharing your personal story, and if there are people in your family or friends who are still alive and talking about them, it gets a little, you have to be sensitive about that. A lot of people struggle with that. But yeah, that's kind of my short answer to that. My notes app explodes with my ideas. Yay. New Vision for Youth says, hi, Bob, just amazing to see you. Well, great to see your text here too. Thanks. I've seen many blessings in my life using your affirmations at the start of my day from New York City. That's fantastic. Yes. 15th book. Yeah. And Lex says he's been trying to remember to voice memo myself rather than just write it down. Yeah. So whatever's easiest. Yeah. Especially melodies though. Yeah. You want to capture them on a voice memo. And so, yeah. So any other questions about creativity or just inspirational topics? I wonder if I should randomly pick another. Let me get a higher number, 23 or 20. Let me see what 23 or 24. And this is just the first section of the book. I'm going to see. Okay, I'm going to do 24 here. So again, the book starts with the more like the mental, psychological issues that creative people deal with, and then it goes into the creative process, and then it slowly goes into sharing your art, getting more public with it, attracting fans. As you get closer to beyond 50, and it's 101 ways to express your creativity and share it with the world. So this is still in the early part. This is more about the creative process. Let me take a quick drink here. This will be my last piece, and then we'll wrap things up. Let me see if I've missed any new comment. I'll come back to them in a moment here. So 24, borrow from the best. The next time you're stuck coming up with an idea for a new painting, song, or short story, try stealing. Of course, you should never plagiarize someone else's work, but you can borrow some aspect of it while maintaining your own voice and style. That's really important. I'm not saying stealing. A songwriter might borrow a chord progression used by another artist, but completely change the rhythm, or mimic the groove of a popular song, but use different chords and vocal melodies. When done right, the new song sounds nothing like the original tune. A fiction writer could borrow a plot twist, but change the characters and the setting. A visual artist could use similar colors or materials, but apply it to a completely different subject matter. So borrow creative ideas and make them your own. Again, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about stealing, plagiarizing. I guess it'd probably maybe be more appropriate to say you're inspired by other people. I mean, certainly everything that I've done, music, even affirmations, came about as me being inspired by other people. Over the years, I've listened to Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Deepak Chopra, And I've listened to a lot of people doing affirmations and guided meditations that I did not like the sound of their voice or the way that they approached it. So so you have to expose yourself to a lot of different people that create what you want to do, and you lean toward the techniques or the styles of the people that you resonate with. I love Louise, and so I kind of put my own spin on her. Yeah, I mean, she's a big inspiration for me. But of course, when you listen to me, I don't sound anything like her. I have a couple of videos though where I pay tribute to her, and I mentioned that in the intro or in the description. But anyway, yeah. So I musically, I've been inspired by people that I like. I'm not stealing from them, but I'm being inspired by maybe some aspect of what they did. Let me just check this out here real quick. Answering my based on healing. Brittany Armstrong says, what advice do you have for me? I'm starting my YouTube channel based on healing MS, I guess, multiple sclerosis, holistically, personal development, and advice storylines. So at first, I don't know exactly, you're starting your YouTube channel. So at first, just get used to the mechanics of it all. Don't burden yourself with having to be perfect right out of the bat. Because really, I was on YouTube for like a decade before I started experimenting with these, or more, before I started experimenting with these guided meditations and affirmations. I'm not saying you have to wait a decade, but at first, just get used to the technology. I don't know how familiar you are with cameras or audio and all that, but at some point, you want to. The thing with YouTube is that you want to create things that people are searching for. So that's why titles are really, really important. And so I choose my titles based on what I think will attract the right people to them. And so titles and thumbnails, descriptions, and you have to do a little research ahead of time. So you may have an idea for some aspect of holistically healing from MS, and I'm assuming that that's probably a very searchable topic. People that want to cure themselves or relieve their symptoms from MS, and especially do it without pharmaceuticals. I'm assuming that's what you're doing. And so you kind of built into your topic is something that I think people are searching for, and there's definitely a pain there that they're wanting to relieve. And if your videos can be the cure, then you'll do really well. But you've got to really, if you can do some, and there are actually a number of channels right here on YouTube that are dedicated to helping you build your YouTube channel. But you got to really do keyword research and come up with different phrases and titles and questions that people are asking. Like, go to Google and start typing in a phrase related to something that you want to do a video on, and see what the auto suggest. What Google auto suggests. Those are clues to what people are searching for. These days, also Google, if you scroll down a little bit, it has a series of questions related to the topic that you're searching for. And if you even use some of those questions as your video titles, that's just some really quick advice. Tiana May says, "Hey Bob, thanks for your inspiration. You're welcome. I appreciate that. You have a clear idea, but you know you're missing a key part for its full manifestation." Some new vision for you. It's a little bit of a generic question. What do you do when you have the plan or an idea, but you know you're missing a key part for its full manifestation? The best advice that comes to mind is just to take baby steps. Yeah, you don't have to have all your ducks in a row. You don't have to have all the stars aligned to be able to take baby steps. So if you have this idea for a business that you want to start, but there's something, investor or whatever it is, I don't know, maybe you need a retail store, you don't have it yet. You can start conversations with people. You can start gathering information. You can start getting advice from people. You can start going to networking or to meetings and meetups or whatever, where those people you're swirling in that atmosphere. Just sort of get involved in that area and with people who are involved in that area, and just start moving regardless. Start before you're ready. I did a video on that a while back. Start before you're ready. If there's a key piece missing, just start taking baby steps, exploring, meeting people, talking about this thing that you're interested in, and then pieces will start falling together. Thank you for your insight and encouragement on writing. You bet. So nice to see and hear you. Maxine says live for the first time. Looking forward to learn more about your books. Yes, I will link. Same advice. Yeah. Well, filmmakers and screenwriters. Yeah, that's one thing with filmmaking, is that it's a much bigger undertaking. Like, I can do a painting by myself. I can do a book by myself, really. But film, you got to involve other people most of the time, photographers and lighting people and audio and actors and script writers. Yeah. So it's a big undertaking. So allow yourself a little bit more time. Again, just kind of hang out with local film people. There's a number of meetups here in St. Louis. Some of them come to my improv classes that are involved in local film and acting and all that. Yeah, actually a number of people who come to I mentioned earlier, in case you weren't here, that I teach and perform improv comedy. And a lot of my students, or some of them, have been in a number of indie films. They haven't produced them themselves, although one guy actually is a what do you call it, a director of photography or whatever. A lot of them just appeared in indie films because they're actors and hams, and then they were right for a part. So the advice is very similar. Just hang out with people, get to know people, and close that gap that I talked about earlier. Do as much work as you can on that thing you're passionate about, and you'll get better and better at it. You'll meet more people, and life will get better. How do you being visible, putting yourself in your internal or creative work? Yeah, and the final question here, how do you find balance with being visible, promoting yourself, and your internal work, creative work? Yeah, so the areas of creativity that I'm involved in, on one hand, I got writing and art. That is a very solitary process. Whether I'm working at home or even if I take my computer out to a coffee shop and write, it's a solo process. Art is pretty much the same thing, although there are collaborative forms of both. But on the other hand, when I do comedy or improv comedy, when I perform music, I'm kind of I am a little bit of a ham on stage. I'm kind of a low-key guy in social situations, friendly and energetic, but not the life of the party, class clown type of personality. But on stage, I have learned I'm very expressive, and I love to get people to laugh and talk to the audience and all that. So for me, I find that balance. I have to have a balance of both. If I'm alone too much, I go a little crazy, get cabin fever. If I'm always out on stage or in social situations, I get a little overwhelmed. And but I need both in my life. Some people need more of one than the other. So I just find balance by just trying to be aware of how I'm scheduling things. And also I was an only child. I was my mom's only child. And so I grew up being comfortable being alone and being on my own and creating on my own. A lot of people kind of freak out when they have to spend too much time by themselves with their own thoughts. They need that social atmosphere. I love the social atmosphere, but again, I strike a balance, and that balance for everybody is different. For me, I like it to be kind of 50-50. But for others, they want more social and less alone, and vice versa. So you got to find your own balance and just make sure your schedule supports that. So wow, we're already at almost 45 minutes. I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks so much. I just appreciate you following the channel. Again, I've been reading from The Passion Principles, 101 Ways to Express Your Creativity and Share It with the World. It and like many, many other titles that I have are available on Amazon in at least a dozen countries. So you can search your country's Amazon for that. I also always have links in the descriptions of my videos to my books and my Amazon author page. And also consider clicking the join button on my channel. And for as little as a couple of bucks a month, you can help support my efforts to create more of these empowering, affirmations and spoken word material. And you get some cool perks as a result. So check that out if you haven't yet. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate your presence here. And let's do it again sometime soon. Sound good? Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. As I always like to end with, this is Bob Baker saying so long for now.